These shocking acts of kindness during recent hurricane disaster will restore your faith in humanity.
But before we start, please take a moment to give this video a like, subscribe to HappyWorld, and hit the bell so you'll never miss these great stories.
The following photos were taken during and in the aftermath of both Hurricane Harvey and Irma. While it's absolutely true that our fellow countrymen suffered an enormous amount of loss, these stories have proven that nothing can ever deter the spirit of kindness. These stories will make you sad, happy, and scared all at the same time. Some of them will give you a warm feeling all over, savor everything, and let it touch you in an inspirational way. Kathy Pham and her 13-month-old son Aiden Pham became the face of the Hurricane Harvey incident after they were miraculously rescued by a SWAT team officer, Daryl Hudick. She sought refuge in a makeshift lot but soon realized the water levels were chest deep. You can see Aiden sleeping peacefully in the embrace of his mother's arms. Clearly, he has no clue about what was happening. Call it a chance encounter or fate, but Deanna Feist and her husband decided to extend their stay in Tennessee to avoid the onslaught of storm back in Florida. The couple headed for lunch at the Old Mill restaurant where the friendly manager treated them to a warm meal. As Deanna and her husband were about to leave after the lunch, they were told by the manager that it was on the house. Also, this kind-hearted man snuck in a note with $200 as a gift to help them get their car fixed. It turns out that the manager's brother was stuck in Florida, but he wanted to do his bit to save or help those who were lucky enough to evacuate on time. Sometimes happiness can be found in small places during the direst of circumstances. 29-year-old Ellis lost his job 2 months ago before the hurricane shook up everything. He was living under a bridge with whatever was left of his possessions. When Ellis arrived at George R. Brown Convention Center, he was wearing a worn-out thin pair of socks. Call it fate or mere luck, despite a short supply of clothing line, Red Cross worker Tina Jamison somehow got Ellis a pair of low-cut socks. He was thrilled to see them. "I'm so happy. This is so much better," said Ellis. Actress Kirsten Bell was few of the unlucky ones who couldn't make it out of Florida in time. However, she didn't let adversity stop her. Bell not only organized a separate hotel room for the parents of her Frozen movie co-star Josh Gad, but also went to a few rescue shelters to entertain the evacuees. At its peak, both Hurricanes Harvey and Irma caused a flurry of panic among local people in neighboring vicinities. A lot of personal possessions, livestock, and pets were left at the mercy of nature. However, volunteer rescuers saved our furry friends who'd have otherwise been a silent victim of a disaster. Wait, it gets better though. The next image will melt your heart right away. Waco Police Department Sergeant receives an innocent yet uplifting letter from his son and daughter. He shared the images with the locals and eventually, the letter went viral all over the media and the internet. The contents of the letter said, "Dear Daddy, I hope you don't get hurt, but I hope you help other people that need it more than you do. I hope no one gets hurt more. I hope everyone gets away from the hurricane. I love you." Signed by Scott and McKenna. Officers Mark Koenig and Chad Shaw of the Harris County Fire Department are busy coordinating rescue operations. One can clearly see they're exhausted but showing no signs of giving up on their efforts to save people's lives during Hurricane Harvey's disaster. In this related image, the deputy is lying down to take a quick nap on the floor. He constantly worked for more than 12 hours and further went on to rescue Irma and Harvey victims during nighttime high water operations. By the end of his shift, he couldn't stand anymore. The members of Louisiana National Guard made it a priority to help the elderly first. A lot of old people were left abandoned during the panic situation, but thanks to the actions of some young volunteers, the number of injuries and casualties was kept to a bare minimum. In this above-related photograph, 92-year-old Paulina Tamarino was transferred to a safe location after she was evacuated from the Savannah Estates neighborhood. She initially had no idea about what was going on. If it weren't for the search and rescue team, she may not have reached a rescue shelter on time. 3-year-old Lane Curtis is busy playing with food cards, sliding down between aisles inside of one of the Hurricane Harvey donation centers. Lane Curtis's father is an active duty officer in Dallas Police Association, one of the main departments responsible for organizing and overseeing rescue operations. Under normal circumstances, people are distraught from one another. They barely speak or socialize, but the Harvey incident stood witness to the hospitality that Texas folk are commonly known for. This image captures the exact moment when volunteers joined hands to cook food and feed thousands of recently homeless families on end. Members of the Texas National Guard were busy with statewide operations. As seen in one of the pictures here, a soldier merrily lifts a boy up and says, "Hold on tight, son." Find out what happens when 7 people team up to save a flooded vehicle in the next breathtaking image. A lot of successful animal, bird, and human rescue efforts during Hurricane Harvey days were the result of volunteer work. These 7 brave men pushed a flooded pickup truck all across the street to a safe location. Valeria Garza, sister of MJ Torres, was stranded apart from the rest of the family when hurricane struck the area. Despite of losing complete contact with one another, they miraculously reunited on August 28th, thanks to the untiring efforts of people at the local police station. During heavy downpour, the local station was completely flooded, while the rest of the crew members left to attend to their families and loved ones. Reporter Brandy Smith and her loyal cameramen stayed on the spot. They continued to warn people of the disaster and even managed to save a few lives. This is courage at its finest. Find out what happens when a father is united with his infant daughter in the aftermath of the Hurricane Harvey in the next image. Darnell Thomas is seen playing with his daughter to help distract each other. Sometimes you can witness signs of life and happiness during the most morbid of circumstances. Both Darnell and his daughter show that no matter what life throws at you, you can still make your loved ones and people around you smile. Shardy Harrison, mother of 3-week-old baby Sarai Harrison, are rescued by their neighbor from their home. A lot of people were transferred to safe locations as a result of these gentlemen and their airboat. Volunteers Jay Garcia and Aaron Crump managed to spread smiles while they were busy rescuing people in Dickinson, Texas neighborhood. These rescuers showed no sign of fatigue. In fact, they cracked a few jokes to not only make people laugh, but keep the spirit alive for as long as possible. "We got to be strong," said Janice Gibson to her lifelong neighbor and friend outside of the Loretta Capistran apartment building complex. A lot of individuals helped each other by saying words of encouragement, kindness, and love to one another. All is not lost yet. This next image is guaranteed to make you smile. Find out why by continuing to watch this video. A father and son are dressed up as famous superheroes as they hand out donations to people at the Red Cross shelter at George Brown Convention Center. The evacuees couldn't be more pleased to see these two working their way across hundreds of people all day long. Billy Hudson was hailed as a local hero after he managed to make repeated trips from the rescue centers and exit zones leading to safe areas. He not only saved a handful of evacuees but also rescued animals, tortoises, and some of the famous Texas Longhorn cattle breed. In this related image, Hudson is seen hauling a Texas Longhorn across a flooded strait. The animal is completely calm and comfortable in Billy Hudson's company. Co-pilot Jose G. Martinez was initially assigned to air duty, but he still managed to perform a lot of groundwork. In this image, he's grinning as he rescues a dog by the end of his shift. Martinez also rescued a deer from drowning. The poor animal was covered in a blanket to keep it warm and secure. The co-pilot left the deer in capable arms of local volunteers as he piloted his way across to other unreachable locations. Hurricane Harvey may be over, but through valor and conviction, these people have proven that societies can rebuild. A lot of ordinary people demonstrated extraordinary capabilities during these days. While parked in a line in front of Chick-fil-A, Landon Rootsong, a 9-year-old Alabama boy, suddenly jumped out of his mom's car and took her debit card with him. Apparently, Landon noticed that the black Acura parked in front of them had a Florida flag on it. The boy introduced himself to the stranger and offered to pay for his meal. Landon's mother was shocked by her son's initiative. It turns out that the person Landon wanted to pay for was in fact an evacuee on his way to Birmingham. He walked over to Landon's mother and thanked her for raising a good son.